The machine stopped on a Friday. No warning. No goodbye. Just silence. Where there had been noise every single day for 60 years. You know that silence. You felt it. Even if you were only a child, you felt it in the house that weekend. By the end of this video, you are going to remember something about the town you grew up in that you have not let yourself think about in a very long time. And it is going to matter more than you expect. There is one factory on this list that employed over 12,000 people at its peak. An entire town inside a single set of gates. I will tell you which one when we get there, and I will tell you exactly who pulled the plug. These were not just buildings. These were the reason your street existed. The reason the pub on the corner was always full on a Friday. The reason your dad had calloused hands and your mum had a number to ring if anything ever happened. And one by one, they went dark. Your mum probably still knows someone who worked at one of these. Mine does. She still talks about it like it happened last week. It didn't. But it never really stops feeling that way, does it? This is not just a nostalgia video. This is a record. A record of 20 places that held communities together for generations and were taken apart in a boardroom in the time it takes to drink a cup of tea. So sit back, make yourself a brew, and let me take you back. Here is number 1. Longbridge, Birmingham. At its height, the Austin Rover plant employed 45,000 people in and around one postcode. The whole suburb existed because of it. The schools, the shops, the chippy that opened at 5:30 because that is when the first shift ended. When it finally closed in 2005, it did not just cost people their jobs, it cost an entire way of life its reason for being, and the morning those gates stayed shut, the silence was different. But Longbridge is just the beginning, because the next one closed even faster, and nobody saw it coming. Number 2, Consett Steelworks, County Durham. The plant had been the lifeblood of the town since 1840. In 1980, the British Steel Corporation closed it. Just like that. 4,000 people gone overnight, in a town of 30,000. In today's money, those workers were earning the equivalent of £35,000 a year. Skilled work. Pride in what they made. Margaret Thatcher signed the papers. Consett never fully recovered. Parts of it still haven't. But at least Consett had steel. The next factory made something every single person in Britain held in their hands every day. Number 3, Raleigh Bicycles, Nottingham. The world's largest bicycle factory. Not a boast, a fact. At its peak in the 1970s, Raleigh employed over 8,000 people, making 3 million bicycles a year. Every chopper, every grifter. By 2002, production had moved abroad. The Nottingham factory closed. Something that had put Nottingham on the map for 100 years just stopped. No fanfare, just a padlock. Did your first bike come from there? More did than people realise. Number 4, Rowntrees, York. Before Nestlé bought it, before the Swiss suits came in, Rowntrees employed nearly 12,000 people in one city. And these were not just jobs. Rowntrees built houses for their workers, schools, dental clinics, a swimming pool. They believed a company owed something to the people who made it work. Nestlé bought Rowntrees in 1988 for £2.5 billion. That is nearly $8 billion in today's money. And within years, the cuts began. Not all at once, just steadily, quietly, until York was no longer a Rowntrees town, until what had shaped that city for a century was owned by people who had never once walked its streets. Number 5. British Leyland Speak, Liverpool. 6,000 people on Merseyside at its peak. Gone in 1978. The workers were called troublesome, called militant. I will say what nobody else will. Calling them troublesome was easier than admitting the management had no idea what it was doing. That was true then. It is still true now. Number 6. The Singer Sewing Machine Factory, Clydebank. At its height, the largest sewing machine factory on earth. 12,000 workers. A company town. Singer Street still exists on the map. The factory does not. It closed in 1980. 3,000 people gone in one announcement. Someone in New York decided the numbers did not work. No consultation, no plan. Just a letter? Tell me in the comments. Did anyone in your family ever own a Singer? I want to know how many of you are connected to this one. Number 7, Courtaulds Textiles, across the Midlands and North. At its peak, 70,000 people across Britain, making viscose, nylon, the fabric in the clothes on your back. Coventry, Derby, Flint, Grimsby, everywhere. When it collapsed, entire regions were quietly hollowed out. Nobody called a press conference, nobody said sorry, just empty mills left to rot in the rain. But the next one on this list is going to stop you cold. Number 8. The Michelin Tyre Plant, Stoke-on-Trent. Here is something nobody tells you. The man who oversaw the final closure of this plant in 2019, who signed off on 550 redundancies in a city that had already lost its potteries and its steel, collected a performance bonus that same year. 550 Stoke workers. One boardroom bonus. These people had done nothing wrong. Nothing at all. They were simply in the wrong place on a spreadsheet. And nobody who made that decision has ever once stood in a job centre queue. Number 9. Carreras Rothmans, Basildon, 4,000 people. When the factory moved, the whole street changed. The newsagent closed because there was no morning shift to buy papers. The cafe closed because there was no lunch rush. The pub closed because Friday night was not what it was. One factory closing does not just take jobs, it pulls a thread and the whole cloth frays. What was your town's thread? I bet you know exactly what I mean. Number 10. The Hoover Factory, Merthyr Tydfil, built in 1948. Art Deco facade. A genuinely beautiful building. At its peak, over 5,000 Welsh workers building vacuum cleaners that went into almost every British home. It closed in 1995. Candy, the Italian company that owned it, shifted production abroad. The building survived. They turned it into a Tesco. And if you were not there, if you did not grow up in a town that lost something like this, nobody alive can explain to you what it feels like to walk into a supermarket where your dad used to work. You either know it or you don't. Number 11. British Coal. The South Yorkshire coalfields. Not one pit. All of them. At their height, over 100,000 men in South Yorkshire alone. The 1984 miners' strike lasted a year. The miners lost. The pits closed. Not because the coal had run out, because the government decided they should. Villages that had existed for the sole purpose of mining ceased to have a purpose. The human cost is still being counted, and that is the truth, whether you agree with the politics or not. Number 12. Cadbury's Somerdale, Keynsham. Kraft bought Cadbury in 2010. During the takeover, they promised to keep Somerdale open, promised it publicly, directly to the workers and to the government. They closed it within months. 500 jobs. The workers found out from the news, not from their managers, from the television. Kraft relocated the work to Poland, and somewhere in a boardroom in Chicago, someone got a bonus. What happened at Keynsham was not just a factory closure. It was a deliberate, premeditated lie told to people's faces. And nobody was ever held to account for it. Not once. Number 13. The Rover car plant, Solihull. When BMW pulled out in 2000, it triggered the final collapse of MG Rover. 5,000 direct jobs. But the ripple went further. Every supplier, every subcontractor, every parts company on every industrial estate for 30 miles. In today's money, the workers received around £8,000 to £10,000 redundancy each, after decades of service. Enough to last 6 months if they were careful. And then what? Number 14. Dunlop Tyres, Birmingham and Coventry. 50,000 people across Britain at its peak. Rubber and tyres and industrial products, an empire of manufacturing. When it finally collapsed through the 1970s and 80s, Fort Dunlop in Birmingham became a hotel, with a Tesco in the car park. There is a lesson in what Britain chose to do with its industrial heritage. The lesson is not a comfortable one. Number 15. British shipbuilders. The Tyne, the Clyde, Belfast. You cannot do this list without the yards. Swan Hunter, Harland and Wolff, John Brown. These were civilizations of skilled labour, men who built the biggest moving objects human beings had ever made. When the orders stopped and the government chose not to intervene, the yards closed one after another. The Geordie shipyard worker, the Clydeside riveter. Identities that had existed for generations simply ceased to be economically possible. That is what numbers on a balance sheet mean when you translate them back into human life. Number 16. The Corby Steelworks, Northamptonshire. Corby was a new town, built specifically to house the steelworkers. The whole place designed around the plant. British Steel closed it in 1979, 11,000 jobs, town of 50,000 people. Nobody in Whitehall asked if that was all right. The health statistics that came out of Corby in the years that followed tell you everything you need to know about what happens when you take away the thing a place was built around. The survival of Corby since then is a story of stubborn human dignity, but it should never have been necessary. Number 17. The Vauxhall plant. Luton. 30,000 people at its peak. The whole town bent around that factory. In 2002, the car assembly line closed. That was the beginning of the end. And Luton, which had built its modern identity around Vauxhall, was left trying to work out who it was without it. Some towns manage that reinvention. Some never quite do. The workers who gave those decades deserve better than to be a line in a restructuring plan. Number 18. Plessey Electronics. Liverpool. Thousands of skilled electronics jobs in the 1970s. The foundation of a modern British economy, or it could have been. When GEC absorbed it in 1988 following a hostile takeover, Liverpool lost again. And by that point, Liverpool had lost so many times. Every time you close a factory in a city already struggling, you are not just taking jobs. You are telling people their city does not matter. That is not economics. That is a message, and the people of Liverpool heard it. Number 19. The Porth Textiles Mill, Rhondda Valley. Smaller than others on this list. Just over 1,000 workers. But in the Rhondda, after the coal had gone, this mill was everything. It employed women who had watched their husbands and fathers lose their livelihoods to the pit closures. It was the second income that kept families from falling apart entirely. When it closed in the late 1980s, there was no replacement. No plan. Just a letter and a date. The Rhondda had already been hit once. This was the second wave. And the second wave is always the one that finishes the job. Number 20. The Royal Arsenal, Woolwich. We end where it began. Because before the retail parks and the residential developments, the Royal Arsenal at Woolwich employed over 70,000 people during the First World War alone. It had been manufacturing for Britain since 1696. 300 years. After the Second World War, the drawdown began. By 1967, it was closed. The site sat derelict for decades. Now it is luxury flats and a heritage centre, which is fine, but somewhere under those flats is 300 years of working hands, of people who built things that mattered, of lives lived in the shadow of something enormous and real. So there they are. All 20. We didn't realise, did we? While we were living inside it, we didn't understand what it was. We thought those gates would always open on a Monday morning. We thought the hooter would always blow at 5:30. We thought the streets built around those factories would always have a reason to exist. We thought our dads would always come home smelling of metal and oil and effort. They just decided. In boardrooms and in Parliament, in offices where nobody had ever worked a shift or eaten a packed lunch from a tin box. And nobody asked us if that was all right. Nobody put it to a vote. They just took it and left us holding the memory. And I don't know about you, but I still miss it. All of it. That's the lot for today. I hope some of that brought a bit of light back to a Tuesday afternoon. Tell me in the comments, what factory defined your town? What were the gates that everyone in your street knew by name? I want to hear every single one. If you want more of these, I do one every few days. Subscribing just means they show up in your feed. No pressure at all. And if someone you know would smile at this, or maybe have a quiet cry, send it over. That's how these memories stay alive. We were lucky. Most of us just didn't know it yet.